Well, hey everybody, I'm back, and I have to say, anybody who does videos on YouTube, whether it's for money or not for money, I have a lot more respect for you now because doing these videos is pretty tough, especially when you're talking to a camera and nobody's here. It's just awkward, it's weird, and I find myself getting locked up a lot. For instance, yesterday I was trying to do this video, and when I started it, um, I just thought to myself, I'm not feeling this. I really just don't want to do this today. So anyway, I'm going to try to get it in today without botching it too bad. For those of you who've been watching these videos, seems like about 20 people or so, well, God bless you. I'm going to try and get better, for sure. But the only way to get better is to practice. I know that because I'm a musician. Let's see, what else? Yeah, so this is definitely a work in progress. I decided to give myself a little bit of a background here, but I don't know if this is going to be the final spot. I've got a window over here. It's kind of messing up the lighting. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll just see about that. So I'm up here in my attic space that I built a couple of years ago. It's pretty nice. We have an big old Victorian house, and this attic space was very large. Large enough to contain another room. So I thought, well, why don't I just build another room here? So this is no longer the attic. The attic is up there. But it's all insulated, ceiling and the walls, and I have a air conditioner unit, so it feels really good up here. No problem with heating either, because all I have to do is leave the door open and heat rises. So, and if it gets too cold, I have a space heater, but I didn't have to use it at all this past winter because it was pretty mild winter, so I've had some good luck there. So what I wanted to talk about today was the Jaws franchise. This is one of my favorite franchises. I know a lot of other people like it too, but specifically the sequels. It goes without saying that the original Jaws is the best, but there's always been a little bit of debate on which sequel is the best. Everyone says it's Jaws 2. But the problem with that is every time I watch Jaws 2, I always fall asleep by the end of it. It's kind of a snoozer. There's not much action in it. There's more teenage drama, really. They kind of tried to, I don't know what they were trying to do. Friday the 13th hadn't come out yet, so I'm not sure what they were trying to do as far as having all the teenagers in it and everything. But I just picked this up yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, at Walmart. The Blu-ray of Jaws the Revenge, just on a whim, because I saw it there and it was cheap and I decided to get it. Now, the thing that stood out about this was that it has the original box art. If you go back and look at the VHS forever ago, this was the box art that it used, and this might have been the movie poster, I'm not sure. But if you look at the original DVD release of Jaws the Revenge, it was released by a company called Good Times, I think, and it didn't use this art, and neither did the Universal release years later. So I was glad that they did this for the Blu-ray. Now, in watching it, I have to say, it looks a little bit gritty in 1080p. I don't know about the sound yet. I haven't watched it in surround sound. I imagine it's probably the same as the Netflix version that was on there a few months ago before they pulled them off. But I just wanted to go through some pros and cons of this because I think Jaws the Revenge is actually the best sequel. And so I got a little bit of a cheat sheet here to help me out. So the pros for Jaws the Revenge. It has pretty good acting. It's not like they didn't have any really A-list actors in it, unless you want to count Michael Caine, but I think at the time he was probably considered kind of a B actor. And, if you compare it to today's sort of low-budget horror films, especially all these weird shark movies that the Sci-Fi Channel's released, the acting in those movies is pretty awful. It's almost hard to watch. This is not hard to watch. The acting seems natural and, real. So it's really not bad at all. Michael Caine does a great job. Mario Van Peebles did a great job. Lance Guest did a great job. And Lorraine Gary did a pretty good job of playing a crazy woman. So, let's see. Oh, here's the other thing. It's only about an hour and a half long. It doesn't drag on. It's kind of fast. So you're not really waiting for things to happen. It's boom, boom, boom. And before you know it, the thing's over with. And I think that's a good thing for a sequel. If if a sequel drags on too much, it's just, it's no good, so. Oh yeah. So this movie has a little bit of a different tone or feel to it. They tried to make it spooky or scary, and tried to make you think about, what is this shark doing? Why is it personal this time? And this is actually a criticism that a lot of people have of this movie, that it's too unrealistic. What shark is going to personally, pick out people and murder them and then do nothing else? Or what shark is going to swim all the way down to the Bahamas, especially a great white shark? Because in real life, great white sharks, they don't like shallow water, because one of the ways they attack is they come up from the deep and come up from below for seals. And they don't like warm water either, apparently. And so everyone's like, oh, well, this would never happen in a million years. Well, yeah, as if the original Jaws would have ever happened in a million years. I mean, when have you ever seen a 25-foot shark? Well, first of all, when have you ever seen a 25-foot great white shark? But when have you ever seen one jump up onto a boat and break it in half? Or much less, when have you ever seen one get pegged with 3 barrels and stay down? I mean, it's just not going to happen. So the fact that it's unrealistic, well, it's a monster movie. It's supposed to be unrealistic. So I don't find that criticism valid at all. Okay, so this, I mean, obviously, okay, so John Williams did the music for the original Jaws, which was, revolutionary. We're going to use 2 notes and they're going to be a half step apart, and that's going to be the theme. Talk about an easy job. But obviously there's more to it than that. But a composer by the name of Michael Small rearranged that theme for this movie to try to make it scarier and spookier, and it really worked really well. And it's just, this is very good music in this movie. If you have a chance to check out the soundtrack on YouTube, I would recommend it, because there's great themes, good arranging. The theme itself just has more of a deadly urgency to it. So, I mean, and it's a lot better. Look, Jaws 2, I know John Williams did the music for Jaws 2, but man, he phoned it in. I don't even know if we have a stereo track for Jaws 2. When I got the DVD, it was mono. Maybe the Blu-ray is stereo. I don't know, but it was terrible. The recordings weren't very good. The music itself, maybe he was hungover from having done Star Wars. I don't know. Okay, so now, of course, I wouldn't be fair if I didn't say what the cons were for Jaws: The Revenge. Okay, obviously there's some bad direction and production. This was not a high-budget film, so so some of the direction is not good. Obviously, there's a couple scenes where you can actually see the boom arm underneath the shark. And then there's another criticism about the shark just doesn't look very good. Well, I've actually watched this movie with a number of people, and they said the shark looks fine. The reason they probably thought that the shark didn't look good is because they used upgraded underwater cameras for this movie, and the previous films didn't have that. So you could see underwater a lot better and a lot more detail. So it was easier to tell that the shark was fake simply by that. So again, I don't think that's a valid criticism, because they tried to make things look better, but of course they didn't have CGI at the time, so they still had to use a robotic shark. But here's the Jaws 2 and 3. They both tend to drag on, kind of like this video is tending to drag on. I'm trying not to drag it on, but I'm doing my best here. Sorry. hit a dislike if it's that bad for you, whatever. But yeah, they tend to drag on, especially Jaws 2. It's 2 hours, and it's just they tried to go in a little bit too much on the teenager drama stuff or whatever. So I just, that's not necessary. Of course, I already mentioned Jaws 2's music is terrible, in my opinion. Jaws 3's music isn't really bad. If you go look up that, it's kind of it's another different take on the theme. It's not bad. I still think Jaws of the Revenge is better, but it's not bad, but it's not Jaws of the Revenge good. The other problem with 2 and 3 is they have some weird usage of the shark. In Jaws 2, you actually don't see very much of it, and then right at the beginning of the movie, it gets caught in an explosion and half of its face gets scarred. But, you know, other than that, you don't see much of the shark, unlike, you know, in the first film. And in Jaws 3, you really couldn't see much of the shark because they made the thing so big, you could only have a couple different views of it from underwater. You know, there's the one from behind where it's swimming. There's the one from the front where it's swimming. That's about it. It was too big. They didn't have it jumping out of the water really at all. And in Jaws of the Revenge, they make no bones about the fact that the shark is there. It just shows up out of nowhere, and there it is. And, you know, they have basically no shame in showing the shark. And I think that was brave of them to do, especially since it was 1987 and the technology was getting a little bit outdated. But I think sometimes you just got to let it all hang out. And I think for me it worked, because if you didn't see much of the shark, it would have made the movie a lot less interesting. So yeah, I mean, those are my reasons Jaws of the Revenge is the best sequel. So if anyone disagrees, feel free to put that in the comments section, and I'll be sure to argue with you like everyone else does on the internet. So yeah, until I think of another topic to cover, I'll see you guys next time.